Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to give an example for 1301. And this is, we're getting into forward and reversing of a motor. And in this case, we're going to use the 3-position selector switch to select either forward or reverse. So we're going to come back over here and we're just going to start with our previous job. I'm going to put this offline. And here we have our start and stop for a motor. And we already have that in a binary. And so all we needed to do is decipher forward and reverse. And there's a couple of different ways that we can do it. I'm going to do it in a fashion that will allow us to be able to port from project to project, shop job to shop job pretty easily. So first off, we want to save this as 1301. Okay. And of course we want to change this to 1301. And we want to modify this. First thing, we don't have a jog function on this, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete that rung. And we're going to modify this, and then we're going to cut and paste it to actually use it for the other direction. So we know that we have to vet the e-stop and stop button. And of course, we're going to have a start button. Now this, we're going to actually modify this. We're actually going to make this our run forward command. Okay. So this rung is going to handle our forward direction. And so we have to add in the selector switch for our forward running selection. And if we come back over here and we look at our PLC assignment information sheet, our 3-position selector switch, the A position, which I want to be forward, is going to be I:0.0/1, and the B position is going to be /2. And we want to label that direction, okay? But we want one of them to be forward and one to be reverse. So we're going to show you how we're going to do that here in a moment. And then, of course, we have a second relay. One is going to be for motor control, and the other one's going to be for our directional control. Remember, on our single-phase motor, we have those jumpers that we need to move red to A, black to 5, or vice versa for forward or reverse. And so that's what we'll be doing with that second control relay. Okay, so we're going to come here, and this is going to be our forward command, and we're going to use that forward selection that we just looked up, and it's going to be 0/0.0/1, and this is going to be our forward selection, and I'm just going to call this FWD. Okay, so this means if I have closed for my e-stop and stop and I hit the start button and I've selected forward, I'm going to turn on this forward rung. And of course I have that down here. Now we're going to do something a little bit different down here in a moment. But we'll come back to this. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that out of there. And we're going to see in a moment why I did that. Okay, so we're going to take this rung and we just need to copy it to be our reverse rung as well. Okay, and of course we don't need the description in there twice, so we're just going to delete that. And we're going to come down here, and of course we still have stop and e-stop, and we have our start button, and then this is just going to be our reverse selection. Okay, and this will be this was reverse selection, and I'm just going to say REV. Okay. And then here, this will be the other binary, which I'm going to go ahead and call this run reverse. Okay. So run forward command. So I'm going to call this run reverse command. Okay. So, and then of course, for now we want this down here. Okay. So we have two binaries. One is going to be commanding it to run forward, and the other one's going to be commanding it to run reverse. And so if you remember now, we have a control relay that this one needs to come on whenever we want the motor to run. So whether we want to run forward or run reverse, we want this relay to come on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this down below it, and this will be our next control relay. I think I also called this on the job sheet MC. Is that right? Yeah, I called it MC, and the other one I called DIR. Okay, so that one's MC for motor control. And then here, our output 4. Okay, that's going to come from here, our outputs. Here is our 11-pin control relay. It is for our single phase control, and it's output 0.0/4. That's where that came from. Okay. And so this address is control relay 2, which is our direction control relay, which on the job sheet I call DIR. Okay. So for DIR, I only want that one to come on when I tell it to run in reverse. Okay. So I have those two outputs set up. Okay. Now from our job sheet over here, I talk about some lights. I have a light for the white light is going to be for forward, and the blue light is going to be for reverse. So we need to add that functionality in here. Okay. So one of the design things that I like to do is, number one, I put all of the decisions that need to be made to start a motor up here, and then all of the outputs go down at the bottom. And also all of the outputs, I like them to be in order. So I'm going to actually take this and I'm going to move it up because it is before this address. That's our blue light there. Okay, so the blue light's going to come on when I command it to run in reverse, right? So that's that B301. I do get that CR1 stat, and I think we renamed this on this job sheet to MC stat for motor control stat. And when that comes on, and the other relay, the CR2, which is our directional control relay, comes on. And if you look at the information sheet, that's going to be our input 08. Okay, and this is directional status. Okay. Okay. So if I'm commanding it to reverse and the control relay comes in and the directional relay is energized, I am going to be running in reverse. Okay. And this is going to be reverse indication. Okay. All right. And now, just to save some typing, I am going to do the white light. And of course, I want it above the blue light because that's the order of the outputs. And here, this is going to be my forward indication. And okay, so that is when we command it to forward, which is going to be that binary, right? B300. That's our run forward command. And my control relay is pulled in, but this one should be off, okay, because that's my jumper setting for counterclockwise rotation. So I'm going to show you a quick trick on how to change, instead of having to delete this and then pull a different instruction down. If you just right mouse click and go to change instruction type, it'll ask you to change the 3-letter acronym for that. Examine if closed, which is this one, is XIC. Examine if open is XIO. Okay, so that means that if that relay is pulled in and this one is the contacts are open, we're going to have our forward light. Okay, now let's look back up here into our holding rung. We actually want it based on what's happening in the field, not based on ourselves. But we built that all into our lights. So this light right here is going to indicate that we're in forward. So if I drag that address up here and put it right there, that means if my white light comes on, I made it all the way to forward, and I'm going to hold in my forward command decision. If I made it all the way to reverse, that's going to be this address right here, and that will hold us in to our reverse direction. We're going to go ahead and test this and download it. Okay, so if you notice, my 3-position selector switch is in the B position. I'm going to go ahead and move it up to be in the A position in the upward fashion here. And you notice that now that gives me a selection here. So now if I push the start button, you're actually going to see both these starts come on, but because I'm not selecting reverse, then I won't get my reverse binary on there. Okay, so I'm going to hit that start button. Okay, so here's what happened. When I pushed that start button, I had logical continuity all the way across the rung, which energized this binary. When it energized that binary, that means down here, that binary turned my output on. When I turned that output on, that turned my relay on. That's why we see that light here. And of course, it's changed my 2 lights from red to green. And now if I come up here and look at my white light implementation, I had already commanded that output to be in forward. My status, this pulled in, but if you notice, I don't have a light down here, so that means that one's still open. That gave me the white light, and that's why we see the white light right here on the camera. And then once the white light comes on, telling me that I commanded it to the output and it actually made it there, that is our holding circuit for our run forward command. Now there's 3 things that can take us out of this. Number 1 is if I push the E-stop, and number 2 is if I push the stop, and number 3 is if I take me out of forward. If I take me out of forward, which you'll see me do right here, that took away logical continuity here, which broke my holding circuit and stopped my motor, and that's why we have the red light and no energized control relays down here. Now I'm going to go ahead and select reverse, and you see the logical continuity for my reverse selection. And of course you can see the start button when I push it is going to get logical continuity in both locations, but because I'm not in that forward selection, I'm not going to energize this binary, I'm going to energize this one. So now when I energize this binary, what happened was that binary came on, and it's in this rung here, energized this output. When it energized that output, it turned on this relay. When that relay came on, my set of contacts for my blue light came on. You see I have it, the blue light command right here. This set of contacts right there closed. And they also closed up here, but I didn't have a forward selection. That's why my white light didn't come on. And I also drove my reverse contacts, my reverse relay right here. And so that drove my directional relay right there. and that closed this set of contacts, which gave me my reverse light. So now I had a output energized reverse light, which I could use as a holding circuit, and this rung will be maintained unless I push the E-stop, the stop, or I take it out of that reverse selection. So that took it out of the reverse selection. So that is 1301, how to forward and reverse a motor with a selector switch. Now, this has an inherent problem in it. I can select forward, flip the switch, and select reverse immediately. And we know with a single-phase motor that's illegal because we have to wait for that start switch to re-engage. And so in this case, we're indicating that we're running in reverse, but in reality, our single-phase motor would still be running in the forward direction because we didn't wait long enough for that start switch to re-engage and for the shaft to slow down enough for it to be spinning in the opposite direction. So we're going to handle that in Shop Job 1302. So we'll see you in that video.